Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is Josh here from the BitBlock, and today I'm going to be doing a video where I discuss the forgotten features in the Animal Crossing series. Now, this is something I was actually going to do an old episode of Mindless Mumblings about. In case you're new here, Mindless Mumblings used to be this video series where I would just go on about anything. Talk about any Nintendo-related thing that was in my brain here. So I don't really do those anymore, but I thought this was something that would be fun to talk about. We're kind of just waiting for the next Animal Crossing game for the Switch, and until then, I thought, maybe we'll do some types of Animal Crossing coverage that is maybe a little bit different. So I had a big list. I had a script and everything, and I wrote it before Animal Crossing New Leaf came out. Since Animal Crossing New Leaf has come out, a lot of the things that used to be on this list were taken off the list because New Leaf brought them back and they were no longer forgotten features. Anyways, let's get into it. There still are some. Let's talk about them. Nice little casual sit down with Mayor Joshi in the flesh instead of being on the video game thing. And we're just going to talk about some Animal Crossing stuff. So, I want to start off by saying it's interesting because Animal Crossing Wild World is a very strange iteration of Animal Crossing, in my opinion. It did some really good things for the series, specifically with the customization. And actually, I think, well, it's customization and the ability to play online. Those are the two things that Wild World did very well. But Wild World was like one of those 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. Because Wild World did remove a lot of things from the series, and it took us a few installments to get it all back. For example, holidays were removed from Wild World, which was shocking to me because that's one of the main things you want in an Animal Crossing game. And yeah, it's just a lot of stuff kind of fell back with Wild World. But it did introduce a lot of important things with like hats and different ways to customize yourself. But let's get into it. The reason I point that out is because, I don't know. I really don't know why I pointed that out. I just felt like saying it. Sometimes it's these blah, 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 blah. This just moves and says things and, Okay, so first of all, let's go with the obvious thing. NES games, original Nintendo Entertainment System games, were removed from the series literally in the sequel. They were not in the DS game. They were not in the Wii game. They were not in the 3DS game. And I would assume they will not be in the Switch game. There wasn't a Wii U game, as many of you know. So I want to talk about that a bit. There are definitely some people that are like, man, they should bring back the NES games in Animal Crossing. I actually disagree. I don't really think the NES games have a logical place in the Animal Crossing world anymore. Animal Crossing has become its own thing, and it's also become online. These are things that kind of contradict the idea of having NES games in Animal Crossing. Not to mention, of course, Nintendo now sells us those NES games on an eShop, a virtual console thing. So, back on the Gamecube, the idea of having NES games that you can play in Animal Crossing was like crazy and cool, but times have definitely changed in a way to where I don't think NES games would make any sense. I think they would just kind of distract from the experience. And like I said, Animal Crossing is online now, so what's going to happen if you're playing an NES game, you can't have your gate open or whatever. You can't have people coming into your town if you're busy playing an NES game that's loaded up, so it doesn't work anymore. Yes, they were very cute, but you know what? I kind of feel like it's neat to have some things on the GameCube version of Animal Crossing that are exclusive to that classic, great GameCube version. So if you want to play those NES games, you can always just play the good old-fashioned Animal Crossing on GameCube. Oh, I remember when I used to play the Animal Crossing on the GameCube. I had to walk 1,502 miles to play those games. I don't know what happened there. Something happened. I don't know. Okay, moving on. There used to be random balls in your town. I don't know how to say that more elegantly, but there used to be balls in your town. And they would be anything from like a soccer ball, a basketball, and then just some weird blue sports ball thing. They really served not much purpose. They were just kind of there for you to run into and kick. And if an animal was around you, they would actually kind of magnetize themselves over the ball and also kick it around with you just a little bit. And sometimes they would be like, hey, I want a ball. Can you find me a ball? And I'd be like, and then, you bring them a ball. You roll the ball to them. But it was a weird thing. It was just kind of this tiny little extra thing that made not much sense. Since the GameCube game, they have, of course, been removed. I will say, though, unlike the NES games, bringing the random balls back or just bringing the ability to drop a ball outside would do some amazing things. In fact, in my episode of Make Believe, I actually made like a soccer field, and then I had the little ball, the soccer ball there, and it would be really cool to have balls in this game outside that you can kick around with your friends online, because you could make your own little games. You could play a game of soccer, or maybe make your own original game with a ball. Like, maybe you have to race so you can get a ball through a maze that you made or something with bushes or something like that. Bring the balls back, I would say. That is something I would definitely recommend. Maybe not randomly appearing outside where you have no control as to whether or not one shows up or whatever, but just the ability to like buy one from a shop and then drop it outside and then do some fun things with it online. That would be pretty cool. So the random balls have disappeared. Where did the balls go? I don't know where the balls went, but the balls should come back. Another thing, this is kind of a quick little thing to point out, I really feel like the way that characters speak has definitely changed as time went on. In the Gamecube game, if you've played it recently, one of the things you'll notice is characters who were like angry had a much deeper voice, that very deep voice. But now so Gamecube deep voice was like this. Deep voice nowadays is about right here. So even the grumpy, deep voice characters are still much higher than what they used to be. Same goes for the high-pitched characters. There just used to be a much bigger variety in terms of how characters could sound than what they do nowadays. It's something that I definitely noticed while playing New Leaf. I really wish that they would at least give more variety to that. I think it adds a lot to the personality. I know some people are annoyed with that, and even for me, sometimes that gets a little annoying. But for some reason in Animal Crossing, it just works, and I don't know why. But yeah, I think there used to be a lot more variety to the tone of the animalese that the characters speak. So maybe polish that up a bit and give us more variety there. Adds to the character's personality. Another thing that I think would be absolutely fantastic for them to bring back is there used to be a journal in Animal Crossing on the GameCube. You had like a little journal that you could write in, a notebook. It actually came with the house when you bought it from Tom Nook. And you don't get that anymore. There is no journal. I think that would be cool to bring back, because now more than ever, because you're open to playing with your friends, or it's just such a bigger game these days that having a journal would be very cool. And nowadays you also have USB keyboards that you could use on the Switch to write in your journal. You even have a touch screen on the Switch system, so you could even maybe write with your finger if you wanted to. So yeah, bring the journals back. That was a really weird thing. The journal was also cool because it told you when holidays were happening. Remember that? Nowadays, unless you go on the internet or unless you have a guide, you really don't know when specific events are happening. Of course you know when Halloween or Christmas and that happens, but there's a lot more to the game than just the main holidays. So journals would be cool to see return. Another thing is there used to be multi-layered towns. Now, my conclusion as to why these went away is that it's purely for power reasons. I think that the 3DS and the DS, those are two, like, having multiple layered towns were something they probably just couldn't technically pull off very easily on those systems. I don't know. That's my only assumption, because of course having multi-layered towns is cool. Makes your town more interesting. They did do it in Animal Crossing City Folk, which is a very underrated version of Animal Crossing, I feel. But it hasn't been back since then. So I'm really hoping the Switch version of Animal Crossing gives us those multi-layered towns, because I think that adds a lot of personality. I remember in the GameCube days, I would reset my town. Me and my cousin, we would play it like crazy, and we would reset our towns when we first started because we really wanted a very cool multi-layered setup and whatnot. So more variety in the landscape definitely used to be a thing on the GameCube. Not as much anymore, but we'll see what happens on the Switch. Like I said, I think the reason for that on the 3DS is mainly just because of technical limitations. On the 3DS in New Leaf, your town is high up and then you can go down to the beach, but that's not really technically multi-layered and whatnot. So yeah, multi-layered towns, more variety in the landscape. Next up, remember the weird glowing spot? You could find a strange glowy spot every single day. This is me replicating it. And then you take your shovel and scoop it up, and you would get money. So there was a glowy spot in your town every day. You dig it up, you get like I think it was 1,000 bells, and you could plant in that glowing spot and grow a money tree. So the glowing spots are gone. I say bring them back. It was one more thing to do every day, one more thing to add to your list of reasons to keep playing Animal Crossing, and it's just really cool. I'd say bring those weird glowy spots back. There's also some furniture and items that are no longer in the game. In fact, I don't really even want to try and list them all because I'm sure I'll forget some, and then people will be in the comments like, this guy claims to like Animal Crossing, but he forgot about the Doodle Moonch set. He didn't really, so it's like, I won't try. But one thing I do remember is there used to be a set of rocks. There were a lot of garden rocks that you could get, and those are no longer in the mainline Animal Crossing games. Now, you might notice I just said the mainline Animal Crossing games. That is because in Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, those rocks, I am pretty sure, did make a return. So whether or not they will bring those over to Animal Crossing Switch, I don't know, but I do miss those weird rocks. They were kind of a cool thing to make like a garden in your house or something, so I'd say bring those back. But I don't think those are in New Leaf. Those are not in New Leaf. There was also an N64 and a Gamecube logo as items. Those are things that I thought were particularly cool. I'd say bring those back as well. Give us like some sort of Switch logo or something. I don't know. I just think it's really cool to have a logo of the system that they're on. And so there's a lot of like items that are kind of forgotten as time went on that I think they could kind of bring back. There are a lot of items in Animal Crossing, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be greedy, but there are some classic ones that I'd like to see make a return. So that is kind of my list that I came up with here. It used to be much longer, but like I said, New Leaf came out and brought a lot of things back. Like the Tropical Island, that made a return. I was very happy about that when I saw that was coming back for New Leaf. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's probably still some more features that I maybe forgot, but that's where you little munchkins come in. You can leave a comment below and let me know if I missed any important things that used to be in Animal Crossing back in the day that are no longer with the series. I am so excited to see where Animal Crossing goes from here. And, the game actually wrapped up development on the 3DS, New Leaf, in 2012 for Japan. It launched in November 2012 in Japan. We are looking at April, almost the middle of April in 2017. They have got to be working on an Animal Crossing game for the Switch. And it's just a matter of time before we get to see it. Hopefully they don't do anything that ruins it, because that would be devastating. But yeah, if they bring back some of these forgotten features, that will at least keep them on the right track. We'll see where they go. So yeah, and like another thing I was gonna say is, the train is gone, but then the train was brought back in New Leaf, and it's pretty cool to see how many things they brought back. So yeah. Guys, keep it locked right here to the BitBlock for a lot more on Animal Crossing and on the Nintendo Switch, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.